Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our NFL Wildcard Weekend breakdown. We've got our article up on the website, we've got our article on the Facebook group, and we're giving you this video. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a big congratulations to Gabe, who won a little over $23,000 last night in NBA DFS. Congratulations, Gabe. I've enjoyed having you in our premium chat. I hope the cheat sheets are helping you out, buddy. That is a very nice hit. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this 4-game wildcard slate. So the first game we have here, let me pull it up on the screen, is Buffalo at Houston. We have this as a tight game. You can see our algo has it 21.5 to 21.3. Our sports betting line, however, says that Buffalo should have been favored in this game by 3.5 points. So we're going to side with Buffalo for the sports betting side. I love if you can get +3. If not, I love the money line on this game, taking Buffalo. Now, Houston is at home. That's great for them, but their defense is awful. Look at this. They're giving up 121 rushing yards per game and 270 almost passing yards per game. That's 25th and 29th in the NFL. That's not good enough for a Super Bowl contending team. So Buffalo is in a smash spot here. We're looking at Josh Allen at 6,500 going up against a defense that's giving up the 31st most points to the QB position. Woo! That's a lot to say. So we really like Josh Allen this week. He has some rushing ability to get it done. He has a solid floor, and we think they're going to put up 24 to 27 points in this game. They should be able to move the ball without any issues. You compare him with John Brown or Cole Beasley. At only a $400 price difference, I prefer to go up to John Brown. I think that's your best option. The other person in a smash spot in this game is Devin Singletary, and he's priced at only $6,000. Now, what I'm looking at over here, so Devin Singletary at $6,000 is getting a defense that's giving up the 26th most fantasy points to the running back position. That's phenomenal for him. And what's even better, come down here and look at this stat. Houston is 27th versus pass-catching running back. So if he gets working in the screen game, him or Gore could have a monster game here. So we do like both of them. The Buffalo defense has been phenomenal. So they're 10th in rushing yards per games allowed, and we can see that right here. And they're 4th in passing yards per games allowed. So I'm off a lot of the Houston players. I don't think they're going to have a huge game. Watson seems a little cheap for 6.4K because he has some rushing ability, and he's going to have to get it done himself to win this game. I'm off DeAndre Hopkins at $7,700 on DraftKings. He has a tough matchup. Like we said, Buffalo's only given up 195.2 passing yards per game. They have the 5th DVOA pass defense, and they're ranked number 2 in the league versus wide receiver 1 coverage. So Hopkins at 7.7, that's too expensive for me. I'm out. I don't mind Will Fuller at 4,900. That's cheap, and we're going to have to get someone below 5K, and he could catch one ball, go 80 yards to the house, get a touchdown, and give you 3X's value like that. So that's someone that I might be looking at. Neither one of the tight ends really jump out at me, so nothing there. So let's go ahead and move down to this next game and take a look at it. All right, so for the next game, we've got Tennessee traveling to New England. New England is going to be up for this game. I know they looked shitty against Miami last week in a game that they had to win playing at home. Fitzmagic went in there and put up 320 yards, and then Devontae Parker, who New England has always had great wide receiver 1 coverage, went 8 for, I think it was 130, 125, somewhere in that ballpark. So I think they were sleeping in that game, but this game I think they're going to show up for because now their backs are against the wall, and Belichick is one of the best. I'm a Chiefs fan, obviously. I hope they don't win and Tennessee rolls them. I have money on Tennessee. I'm going to bet Tennessee, and I'm going to cheer for Tennessee. But all of that aside, let's look at some fantasy plays. So for the New England side, what jumps out at me here when we're looking at yards allowed per game on our cheat sheet, I'm up here and I see 24th. Tennessee's given up 255 passing yards per game. That's not good, but that's good for Tom Brady. Now, they're only allowing 104.5 rushing yards per game, so Maybe tone it down a little bit on some of the New England running backs. They're not going to go crazy, but Tom Brady should have a decent day. Now, he doesn't run, so he's got to get it done in the air. So you want to pair him with a pass-catching option. The one we like is obvious. It's Julian Edelman. So we're looking at Julian Edelman right here at $6,500. And you can see this is the stat that jumped out at me this morning is Tennessee ranks 28th versus coverage of the wide receiver 1. Julian Edelman is the undisputed wide receiver 1, and he's cheap at $6,500. Now, he was banged up and didn't do a lot last week, so hopefully he's healthy. He could catch 8 to 10 balls in this game, and especially if Tennessee gets the lead and they're playing catch-up, Julian Edelman could have a heyday. The other wide receivers, I don't mind. There's nothing really exciting about them. They haven't really been using the tight ends a whole lot. So Tom Brady, Julian Edelman are the main two that I'm focused on. And then if we're looking at the running backs, Rex Burkhead at $4,500, GPP only, not cash. He's not getting a lot of volume, but he's putting up about 8 to 10 points, so he's not going to kill you. Anyway, Sony Michel is criminally underpriced at $4,600. He's someone that I'm going to have in almost every lineup. I don't like him. I'm not excited about him. But if he can get a touchdown and with the amount of carries that he's getting, I think he's going to be a solid play. Now, over the last 3 weeks, he has had, let me grab my sheet here real quick. So Sony Michel at $4,600, the volume that he's putting up is insane. So over the last 3 weeks, he's had 18, 21, and 19 carries for 74, 96, and 89 yards. Where else can you get that kind of volume for a sub 5K running back on a team that has won the Super Bowl a ton? So he's someone I'm going to use as a salary saver. James White, I don't mind. 5,700's kind of a lot because if he doesn't get in the end zone, you really need him to get a lot of balls. Over on the Tennessee side, so if you look at the statistics here, Tennessee is in a terrible spot. New England has the 6th rated DVOA rush defense, the number 1 DVOA pass defense. They're number 1 against wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s. They're number 7 versus tight ends. So it looks awful, but they've played a cupcake schedule. Have you seen the teams that they've played? It's ridiculous. So I think that soft schedule is starting to catch up with them because Miami got in there and beat up on them in Foxborough nonetheless. So I'm looking at Ryan Tannehill at $6,300 and pairing him with A.J. Brown at $7,400. That's not my favorite play, but I think they're going to get some points on the board here. And after Devontae Parker went 8 for 125, 130, I think A.J. Brown could also have a heyday. However, Belichick is going to scheme to shut down either Derrick Henry or A.J. Brown. Which one's it going to be? I'm going to have a little exposure to both just in case. Now, looking at Derrick Henry, he is a little expensive at $8.2K. That's a lot of money for a running back going up against New England, but his volume is just absolutely insane. And I took a couple of notes here I wanted to go ahead and share with you. So, Derrick Henry. So the Titans are allowing, and I apologize, I got to read some notes here. There's so much information, I want to make sure I get it all to you guys. So the Titans, if we look right up here on the cheat sheet, the 138.9 rushing yards per game. That's 3rd best in the NFL, so the Titans can run the damn ball. Now, New England, on the other side, they're only allowing 95.5 rushing yards per game, which is 6th best in the NFL. However, they've played some cupcake squads, so I'm not too worried about that. And then Derrick Henry, he's the primary rushing back for the Titans, first of all, so he's not splitting with anyone else. He's going to get the majority of the carries. Now, over his recent weeks, he's put up one dud of 9 points, but in a row, they're 42, 9, 27, 27, 32, 36, and 25 DK points in his recent contest. He's had 18-plus carries in each of his last 6 games, so that volume is phenomenal. That's what you're paying for. Volume is key. And in 4 of those 6 games, I found this interesting, he's had over 149 rushing yards. They are going to run the ball. So Derrick Henry is someone we have to look at and we have to have some exposure to in our lineups. As far as that's everything I have for that game. I'm hoping Tennessee wins. I'm hoping this isn't a close game. I don't want New England to win. Kansas City, let's go Tennessee. So let's go down and take a look at game number 3. So here we've got Minnesota traveling down to New Orleans where they're going to play in the dome on the turf, 72 degrees. And this is perfect for the Saints. They're in a groove right now. Drew Brees had 6 weeks off in the middle of the season for his sprained thumb or whatever it was. So he's healthy, he's fresh, he hasn't had a ton of hits, he's ready to go. And after the blown call last year that would have put them in the Super Bowl, they're out for vengeance. So this is a team that I think could be a scary matchup in the playoffs. Now, the first stat that I'm looking at right here is offensive yards per game, and you can see it here on our cheat sheet. They're at 373.9, which is 9th best in the NFL, and they're on fire right now. However, what I want to note is that home versus road, and year over year, it's the same way with Brees and the Saints. So at home in the Dome, they're putting up 420 yards per game. That is phenomenal. Now, on the road, you can see they're only putting up 327.8, which is more towards the average. So the Saints at home are on fire. That's why this line opened up at -8, and I thought it would have been more around 4 or 4.5. Both defenses are good. Both offenses are good. Minnesota's banged up a little bit. What I like here on the Minnesota side is I'm fading Dalvin Cook. 7,800 is way too expensive for me. If you want to have some exposure to him, perfectly fine. I completely understand it. But what jumps out at me, the Saints, if you look at our cheat sheet right here, they're only allowing 91.3 rushing yards per game. That's 4th best in the NFL. And then their DVOA rush defense is number 5 in the NFL. And fantasy points to the running back position, 6th in the NFL. I think Dalvin Cook is going to struggle in the Dome against these Saints. However, now we got to look, how are they going to score their points? So let's look over at Kirky Cousins at 6.1K, and we're going to pair either an Adam Thielen or a Stephon Diggs with him. 6.1K for a QB that I think is going to have to throw a lot isn't too bad. So let's look at the Saints and see how their pass defense is. So pass defense, DVOA 13th, so a little bit better than middle of the road. And then they're allowing 242-ish passing yards per game, so they'll be able to get some done. And points per game, they're allowing about 3 touchdowns, 21.3, so someone's going to have to score. Thielen is back off of the injury. He's got some game under his belt, and this is a must-win for him. So I like taking a sneaky shot at Thielen at 6,200. Diggs has a monster ceiling. We've seen him have some dud games or some great games, so I don't like him for cash, but I love him for GPPs here. And you can see on our cheat sheet that the Saints are giving up the 26th most points to the wide receiver position at 39.8. So Thielen or Diggs, one of those guys is going to have a good day. So if you're doing multiple lineups, I would say in about 70% of them have one or the other or some exposure to this game. Rudolph, I'm not really excited about. And Madison is still questionable. Mike Boone looked really good, but again, this Saints rush D is phenomenal. So let's flip over and take a look at the Saints side. Now, I love cash games putting Saints in here. Drew Brees at 6.6K has the best floor and the best ceiling on the slate of anyone out there. He's got Michael Thomas, who set the catch record this year. And the stat that jumps out at me is right here under this DVOA specific. Wide receiver ones. So Minnesota is 21st versus covering the wide receiver 1. Who's the wide receiver 1 in the Saints? It's Michael Thomas, one of the most ridiculous, big, fast, hands-on wide receiver there is. So I think him and Breeze is your easy cash game play this week. Now, Michael Thomas is $9,300, which is expensive, but Minnesota's giving up the 24th most points to the wide receiver position at 39.6. So I think he's going to get his. And if you pair him with Breeze, I mean, that's easy money. Now, as far as the running game, I don't mind it. You're going up against a tough run D, but Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, they're both going to get it done. Kamara at 7,400, I would probably rather go up to 82 and go get Derrick Henry, because if you're going to do Breeze and Thomas and Kamara, they're going to take away from each other. So if you're trying to win a GPP and they're not going to score 40 points, it's tough to have both studs in there that are that expensive. So for me, I'm going to go Michael Thomas, lock him in for cash. For GPP, I'll probably have a little bit of both. Jared Cook, I'm fading this week, so I'm going to have no Jared Cook, which is why I like Michael Thomas even more. And the reason is, if you look right here under DVOA specific on our cheat sheets, Minnesota is number 1 versus covering the tight end. Jared Cook isn't that amazing. I mean, yeah, he could get 3 or 4 balls, a touchdown, and get you 2x, but $4,900, there's other places I would rather spend my money this week. So that's what we're looking at. Saints at home, they should roll this game. I'm not going to bet and lay the 8. I don't mind it on a teaser if you want to come down. Minnesota will be able to score, but I don't think they're going to be able to stay in the game, which bodes well for all of my Saints players and Saints getting points. Now let's go down and take a look at the 4th game and final game on the slate, which the total on this one opened up at 45.5. It's still 45.5, and we have it scoring 48.7, so almost 49 points. So this is a phenomenal spot to attack. The one thing when I was looking at this is I assumed, hey, Seattle's going to be favored. They're going to win. The line opened at 1, moved to 1.5 for Seattle. The sports betting algo line, which is not mine, there's a different video on that, said it should be Seattle -3. So this line is going to continue to move towards Seattle because that's where the numbers are going to point, all the analytical people. However, we have Philadelphia winning this game 25-24, close game. The one thing that jumps out at me when I'm looking at this, so on our cheat sheet, your offensive points per game, 25-24, Points allowed, 25-22, kind of so-so about the same. The rushing yards per game, so Seattle has had a phenomenal year rushing the ball. They're at 137.5 rushing yards per game, which is good for 4th best in the NFL. The one thing that jumps out at me here is Philadelphia has really turned their defense around. They're only allowing 90.1 rush yards per game, and they started off crappy. So to turn it around and be 3rd best in the NFL in rushing yards per game allowed is phenomenal. So in that case, I'm off of Marshawn Lynch and this Travis Hosmer. $5,200. I think Lynch will get 8 to 10 carries. He might vulture a touchdown. He'll get you 2x, maybe even push 3x, but he's not going to win you a GPP and put up that 20 to 25 points that you need. This other Travis cat, he did pretty decent last week. I think he had 10 for 62 yards and then caught a few balls. So if they're splitting the ball going up against a tough defense that's 3rd best in rushing yards, I'm not that excited about it. I'm probably not going to use any Seattle running backs. Now come over to Philadelphia, and I love this running game. I think this is very sneaky this week, and the reason is, you can see here, Seattle is allowing 117.7 rushing yards per game. That's 22nd in the NFL. However, over the last 3 games, they're allowing just over 170 rushing yards per game. That is insane. I think most people are going to go Carson Wentz, Greg Ward, Dallas Goedert. You can see down here they're allowing the 31st most points to the tight end position. So if Ertz plays, he's going to be a big target for a lot of people. Goddard's going to be a big target for a lot of people. Goddard at only 5,200. If Ertz is out, I will have a lot of him. It's hard to fade that production. I think he got 8 or 9 targets last week. He didn't do a lot with them, but he's going to have a good opportunity. However, the spot that I really want to attack is the running game for Philadelphia. Now, they have 3 main running backs, and we don't know who's playing, who's not playing. So Miles Sanders is questionable. He's being monitored. They first said a sprained ankle, then they said maybe a sprained ankle, then they said no sprained ankle, but he's questionable. We don't know if he's going to play. He's 6,200 this week, and I think he would be a solid play if he is in the game. Jordan Howard is supposed to be back for this game. He's 4,900. So they don't know how they're going to use him, but they said he will have a role in the offense. The one guy that really intrigues me, and I hope Miles Sanders does not play, is Boston Scott. This guy is $5,800. I will have a ton of him, and he was a beast last week. I've got some stats for him. So last week, when Miles Sanders got hurt, Boston Scott came into the game and just absolutely dominated. He put up 35.8 DK points. He scored 3 touchdowns. He caught 4 balls for another 84 yards in the air. And they rolled in that game, and this is a game they need to win. So I think they're going to stick with the hot hand. If Miles Sanders can't play, Boston Scott will have a role in this game. Now, when I was looking into Boston Scott, because I didn't know who this guy was, I'm like, yeah, Boston Scott, whatever. He's the 3rd-string running back. So he has been working with them the last couple of weeks. He has 23 catches across his last 4 games, and in those games, he has received 6 to 8, 6 to 9 carries per game, and he's put up 4, 4.3, and 5.9 per carry averages, which is solid. So Boston Scott is someone that I love this week. He's only 5,800, so I think he's someone that we can kind of fit in there and squeeze the lineups. Greg Ward at 5,200 isn't bad. I think the Philadelphia stack's pretty obvious, but even right here, if you look at our cheat sheet, Seattle's given up 264 passing yards per game, which is 27th. So I think Philadelphia can win this game, and they can do whatever they want. They should be able to throw the ball. They should be able to run the ball. However, like I said, most people are going to go to the Philadelphia passing game, use the tight end, use Wentz, use Greg Ward. That's the chalk. That's what I think everybody's going to go to. That's going to be the highest owned. The sneaky play here is going to be to go with the Philadelphia run game. I think it's going to be much lower owned, and if they're having success running the ball, there's no reason that if they get the lead, they won't run the clock out and punch it in when they get down inside the red zone. So Boston Scott is a sneaky play that I like this week. So that's our 4-game wildcard slate breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like our channel, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. In 2020, we're going to release a lot of videos for daily fantasy sports and sports betting. We mix in a lot of green screen and special effects to make these videos fun and enjoyable. No one likes watching that video where the guy's like, play Michael Thomas, he's a really good player. So we try to make them fun for you. We try to make them interactive. If we have people in our premium group that they have a big win, I'm going to congratulate them on air. I'm going to share it with them. If you guys want to see a tutorial, let me know. I'm happy to make them. I love making these videos. We have tutorials right now on our YouTube channel for making your own daily fantasy sports optimizer in Excel. And I walk you through the whole process. The first one is a 4-part series. It's going to take you about an hour and 15 minutes to go through. And then we added FanDuel NBA for 2 more 25-minute videos. So they are time consuming, but I went through and explained everything specifically, gave you time to catch up, showed you screenshots. So I hope you guys like those videos. I've received really good feedback so far. Also, we went through the entire NFL playoff bracket using our cheat sheet, projecting the winners of each round and our Super Bowl matchup with the Super Bowl winner. It's on our channel. Feel free to go look at it. Again, congratulations, Gabe. You guys have a good luck. I'm out.